Welcome, friends. This is Archangel. Okay, so this is how it usually goes. I tell you that males are used, then discarded, and you claim nature. I tell you that females are narcissistic, hedonistic, self-interested, and do not care about male welfare at all. And you say, no, not all females are like that. So this is where it rests. Males take refuge in the hope that not all females will callously use them if given the opportunity, but rather there is some special magical unicorn made of fairy dust sprinkles out there just waiting for them. The unicorn as a rebuttal and conversational refuge is like that anonymous squeal coming from your car that you can't seem to root out and silence. It's elusive and always there. Kind of like organized religion. It is ever present, exerting its influence and control. I can't tell you how many conversations I have had with guys describing the epic devaluation and disposability that has laid siege to males for millennia, and these guys will be on board with all my observations, telling me how dead on my points are. Then I suggest the linchpin to male liberation from gynocentrism, the rejection of sexual and romantic relations with females, and instantly my attentive, agreeable audience does an about-face. No, not all women are like that. This is the refuge that males take, rather than face their biological urges in order to transcend them. And you know what? Sure, hypothetically, anything is possible. Humans are hard-pressed to deal successfully in absolutes. Change is the only constant. Thus, nothing is unanimously absolute except gravity, death, and taxation in some form. And there are ways around the latter two. Gynocentrism is as much an absolute as gravity, but people do not want to discuss solutions. They want to mire you down into non-action by debating the problem endlessly. Once I say that all women are like that, I do not soften my stance. But to better help the male in-betweeners get a handle on this, let's entertain their assertion. Okay, Rare Unicorn City, next stop. So, fine, sure, possibly there could be an exception. Hence, the unicorn argument can be better understood by reducing it to odds. The same mechanism that you use to assert actions every day. The odds that you will drive your car and not get into a car accident. The odds that a person next to you in the grocery store will not pull out a knife and stab you. Or the odds that your flight will take you to your destination without incident. We judge situations and use odds to reason any number of things that we do every day. Not all people that buy lottery tickets waste their money. There are one or two out of the hundreds of millions who actually win. But is that a fruitful plan to attain financial freedom in your life? To hit the lottery? Do you want to be the 70-year-old feeding quarters to the slots hoping to hit the jackpot? Then maybe you can try playing catch-up and buy back some of the fun and time and youth that you squandered on trying to hit the jackpot in the first place. You see it all the time. These sad old people feeding the slot machines, or sad old ladies playing bingo waiting for their ship to come in, not realizing that even if their ship did come in, their youth has long since fled, and so money will not remedy anything. All that awaits them is further physical declination. So you want to play the odds that a unicorn exists, that there is an attractive female out there that cares about males, and would actually love you and care about your welfare as a human being, and would put your happiness above her own, or would defend your honor, even in conversation with her girlfriends or mother, that there is a female that would not usurp labor and money from you if given the opportunity, who would not kick you to the ground and spit on you when you piss her off. Is that your plan? To play these odds? Not that there is a perfect female out there, but simply that there is a female who would place your happiness and welfare above her own, which is what love is, right? You admit there are a lot of pampered eaters out there, but you are going to find a different one, a cool one, a good one, the right one, right? Okay, let's roll the wheel and play these odds. Maybe there is a unicorn in a small town in Czechoslovakia, or on a farm outside of El Paso, or in a crocheting club in Shanghai, or online in some Russian town on some internet bride website. But do you really have the time, energy, knowledge, or resource and financial wherewithal to spend your life and what precious youth you have remaining scouring the land hunting unicorns? especially when you realize that this moment is the most precious there is. Nobody is promised tomorrow. Today is all we have. Thus, do you really have the time to embark upon a wild goose chase? And when you find a potential unicorn candidate, how can you fully trust her, knowing hypergamy and absolute gynocentrism runs through her veins whether she likes it or not? When males book a room at the Unicorn Motel rather than face down and overcome their desire for female validation and invoke sexual renunciation from female-assisted ejaculations, they put stock in the assumption that female exceptions exist everywhere. We just have to play Dick Tracy and ferret those precious gems out of hiding. Males play the odds that all they need to do is find the altruistic, benevolent angels of pure love and divinity who exist out there somewhere in the midst of malevolent witches. Well, gentlemen, we have been lied to by our friends, our peers, our religious leaders, our parents, our culture, and our society, by our brothers, and especially by our sisters, and we continue to lie and feed boys the Disney fairy tale bull. We lie to males. If unicorns did exist, they are so rare that there is not enough to go around, and so most males are deceived by this farce, destined, therefore, to live a life of misery and usury for their utility providership. When males take subscription in the unicorn fantasy, they assume that there are plenty of exceptions out there surrounding us. You just have to find one. Exceptions, by definition, means few, a rarity of. Otherwise, if there were so many exceptions as to become the majority, statistically speaking, then the exceptions would be the rule, and not the exception. Hence, exception means a rare few in numbers, displaying nonconformity to the norm. And unicorns are definitely an exception argument, meaning there are precious few out there, right? If unicorns were on every street corner, they would be commonplace, status quo, normality, and hence not exceptions. Yes? Okay, let's roll some numbers if you want to play the $1 million mega unicorn jackpot. So let's be generous and posit that 1 out of 10 females is a special, divine, rare, male-carrying unicorn. This means that out of, let's say, 2 billion females on this planet, necessarily then 200 million females are the fabled unicorns. That's a lot of females. That's the population of some countries. So where are these special rare exceptions, all 200 million of them? Where are the footprints that they were even here? Like Bigfoot, there are plenty of sightings, yet no incontrovertible proof. Moreover, humans would not be as populous as they are if there were this many exceptional unicorns existing to love males and care for our welfare. Our species has not proliferated by females rejecting hypergamy and gynocentrism in favor of androcentric benevolence. Humanity would not flourish if so many female exceptions existed, who thought not of procreation, but only of love and caring for a male, rather than occupy themselves with self-interested survival in order to propagate offspring for the ultimate survival of the human animal. From a scientific conversational stance, unicorn existence must be rarer still, say 1 in a million. Perhaps unicorn hunting spawned the ubiquitous phrase, 1 in a million. Thus, unicorns being such a small group, we lie to males when we say most females are good or goodish, or at least most females are not bad or selfish. We blatantly lie to men and especially boys. Now, let's say we take 2 billion men around the globe. Are they all going to find unicorns? Will they find a caring, loving Cinderella as they have imagined since they were helpless children filled with malevolent fairy tales and fantasy? Yet, we tell them they simply need to find the right one, knowing full well 1.8 billion will be met with heartache and torture, chewed up and spit out time and again by gynocentrism and hypergamy working through the instinctual programming, privilege, and enabled entitlement of the matching 1.8 billion wrong ones that they invest their emotion into, thinking that maybe they are the special unicorn everybody tells them to find. And every time a disillusioned male escapes a wrong one, we spit on him further by encouraging him to get back in the saddle and keep chasing wild geese. Just keep searching. The right one is out there, somewhere. Every time males get stomped on, we feed them further lies so they will stop their crying and jump back into the meat grinder. So, how are those numbers treating you? Pretending that the unicorn argument is valid means admitting that right ones are also an exception, meaning a rarity. Admitting these fairies are indeed a rarity means we knowingly lie to most males about their ever finding someone who will care about them and not use and discard them. The numbers are stacked against males. Perhaps a few males will find the rare, enigmatic unicorn, while the rest of the male populace is subjected to devaluation and usury from the imposters. Thus, the selfish, hypergamous, gynocentric, engender-preferenced, entitled, pampered princesses who demand your utility and life, this is the norm. And odds are that males will be burned, hurt, or killed by a female who is like that. The odds are that you will be one of the hundreds of millions of people who wasted their money on the lottery ticket, not the one or two that actually scored. So malicious females are the norm. Let's take the generous 1 in 10 unicorn to malicious female ratio proffered earlier. If all 2 billion males were to find a unicorn, as their parents, friends, and especially females themselves will tell these males that they can when they are impressionable little children, that would mean that we would have to have a female population of approximately 20 billion in order for all 2 billion males to find 2 billion females that are rare special unicorns promised them by societal propaganda. We know darn well this is a bogus fairy tale to keep males striving for until they are old and used up from a lifetime of pain and misery and fruitless searches for the fabled happiness with a unicorn in a magical enchanted existence of joy and wonder, labeled family. Only when life has passed these shovels by, leaving them broke financially, emotionally, and physically, only then do most realize that they were maliciously duped, yet they will blame themselves because they never found Sasquatch. Now, could a unicorn exist? Sure, females have the ability to rise above self-interest to possible care for a male. They are sentient beings, and are conceivably capable, through Herculean effort, to circumvent reptilian instincts in favor of higher morality, just as liberated red pill males can control their urges for sex and female validation to such a degree that they walk away from women entirely. This is a monumental accomplishment for males to rebuke females. This proves that humans can overcome biology and cease to succumb to instinct. But constant vigilance is needed. So too could a female turn her back on her inherent programming, choosing instead to live from a higher place. But she will be battling her hypergamy and self-interest for the rest of her life, like an alcoholic battles the desire to return to the bottle. Unicorns possible? Perhaps. Probable? No. Because the environment, society, is set up to support and reward women. The culture is based upon gynocentrism. It is the enabler of female entitlement and malicious use of males. So what incentive is there for females to go through the struggle and tumult of continually fighting their instincts every second, when instead they can be pampered and ushered through life with provision and protection, coddled and pampered for acting like every other female? There is no reason for females to fight their self-interest. In fact, the whole unicorn paradigm exists because males are too weak to overcome their own basal urges and walk away from female predation dressed as Cinderella fantasy. Existence without female validation is that horrifying for most males, who reputedly are the stronger sex. So, do you think a female will spend the rest of her life miserable and fighting her urges for hedonistic self-preservation? And for what? A male? True love? Or because it's not right to use or mistreat males? Pfft, please. So, an exception? Sure, fine. Not all sharks eat seals. Not all flies swarm feces. Not all cows eat grass. And not all fireworks are dangerous around gasoline. Furthermore, chasing the exception means you feed male devaluation and disposability. By merely unicorn hunting, you are part of the problem. Chasing that fabled unicorn means you're playing this romance game, and thus fueling the female entitlement that will burn the other 1.8 billion males out there who will meet the business end of the 1.8 billion witches they put their hopes in. Playing the unicorn hunter, you continue to elevate female worth by deifying the magical, mystical quarry you seek. By believing in unicorn myth, you still elevate females to deity status and compete with other males over that unicorn. You still enable male-on-male violence and male devaluation and disposability by merely believing in unicorns. Yes, you do. You are either feeding the meat grinder or you oppose it by rebuking gynocentrism. You are either in direct defiance of male devaluation or you feed the meat grinder by competing with all other males for the handful of unicorns that untold numbers of males seek. By its very inference, when you proffer the notion that not all females are like that, in response to assertions of gynocentrism and female apathy over male welfare, by the very invocation of the phrase not all females are like that, you concede that most females are like that. So, how lucky are you feeling against the odds? There has to be one somewhere, right? One problem, though, there's simply not enough supposed exceptions to go around, meaning most males will be chewed up and spit out when their utility has dried up. The unicorn argument by its very nature means most females are like that, and you'll likely spend your life going from witch to witch who sell themselves as special, different, cool, and not like the rest. I do not backpedal my position. Though I make allowance for unicorn possibility, I still find that females, the lot, are self-interested, hypergamous, and females do not care for male personhood or male welfare, period. And nothing short of an apocalyptic event or something which renders our current societal environment of gynocentrism extinct. Only then might females be given the impetus to change their drives and rise above themselves, if possible, to care, finally care for the other half of the species who have spent millennia caring for them. Even in the face of an apocalyptic event, females would not change to accommodate males because they want to be better people. They would only alter their behavior at all because once again, they would realize they need males for their very survival, and so would placate males in order to get in under their protections. Much like traditionalism, where all the same old manipulations of fragility, procreation, and sex would again become relevant and play out. Whereas if we progress into the future, where males abandon females for technology, such as virtual reality and the artificial womb, females would be resentful, not because they've had an epiphany that they need to be better people and care about males, but rather their ire would be invoked because the slaves dare to walk out on them. And so they would play nice to lull males back into doing the heavy lifting once again. So under any scenario, I do not see females compelled en masse to rise above themselves in order to recognize and care about males in any higher capacity. I am simply here entertaining the blue and purple pillars who solicit debate over this new fiction they have conjured in which they find hope. The unicorn is the exception argument. Exceptions, by their definition, are rarities in the face of the status quo. Hence, half a dozen holy grails out there amidst a sea of billions of wrong ones. How those numbers looking? You feeling sporty there, Dr. Jones? The possibility of one Ark of the Covenant, that you and the entire German army hunt for the same thing, and in the end, nobody came to possess it. It was a siren's call, never a reality for man to claim. So, unicorn existence, and your odds of getting one? Yeah, I'd go for the odds of a safe landing after both wings fell off your transatlantic flight. The odds are better that you'll find an honest politician or a claustrophobic mole. And just like the fabled unicorn, I am eager to hear the supposed sightings of Bigfoot and Chupacabra at the next cryptozoology convention. Actually, Sasquatch and Chupacabra might exist, so maybe the unicorn sightings would be a topic more appropriately discussed at the next tinfoil hat convention, right along with sightings of Elvis. My brothers, you have been lied to. Rise against fairy tale, stand with me, live free.